So Theo, I'm in my car, and this is my paper number 2. I've got my dog in the back. I'm driving my leased Tesla through the streets of very wet, very rainy Cambridge, which seems very appropriate for Ulysses. I was going to say the Odyssey, but for Ulysses, which is obviously set in Ireland. And I figure Ireland is a place where they get a lot of rain, so today seems appropriate weather-wise for this. I am basing this video on my fairly limited reading of the beginning of Book 6, which is the Hades chapter, as I recall it. And in that chapter, they, Bloom and assorted other people, get into a coach, into a carriage, and head off to the graveyard for, I think, Paddy Dignam's funeral procession. I'll check all the facts here. I'm not sure I've got that 100% correct. But in that chapter, I believe they cross 4 rivers, which are based on the 4 rivers of ancient Greece. And I can't name them all, but I will in the future, Styx being one of them. Anyway, I thought I'd use this opportunity to see if I can find 4 rivers to cross in the Cambridge-Boston area. And I had 2 separate thoughts at that point. One was to go to the Cambridge Cemetery, where my old friend Brian Murphy, who's a former city councillor here in Cambridge, is buried. But that may or may not happen. The other thought I had was to go find monuments or markers to what I will just simply refer to as the British oppression of the colonies, of which Massachusetts is one of the first and foremost of the British colonial holdings in the New World. Anyway, that is the mission for today, but we will be out in the car and we will be seeing what we see in terms of all of that. We're about to go to our first stop, which is going to be the Alewife River up here at the basically behind the Alewife T station on the Red Line in Cambridge. And there we will see, first of all, we're going to cross that river on a bridge. And there we will see a marker for an old British settlement that was marked out by King Charles II. We've just gotten King Charles III on the throne. Well, in the 1660s, his name predecessor was on the throne in Great Britain, Charles II, from which we get the name Charlestown and presumably also the Charles River. So as soon as we get clear traffic, we'll make the turn and we'll go park and then walk our way in there. So let's see what we find out. Here we are approaching the Alewife River. Through the slats on this bridge, you see we are crossing the Alewife River. There is Alewife T. We're going to head over to this little marker over here, this stone. On the surface of the stone, there's a marker. It says here, this site is part of a 2,000-acre land grant by King Charles I to Abraham Hill in 1636, extending from present-day Belmont to to Charlestown and pass through Abraham's descendants. So there is a marker making note of Abraham Hill's request from King Charles I in 1636. All right, so we went out, we saw stop number 1, which is the Alewife, and the historic marker there. We're now going to head out to Concord, which is probably the most historic, one of the most historic locales in the whole region, Boston metro region, regarding British domination of these lands in the 17th and 18th century. So that's our next stop, Concord, Massachusetts. Here we go. Amazing. Now here we are coming into Concord. Not sure what my speed is supposed to be, but it's supposed to be a little slower than what I'm driving. So we'll slow the car down a little bit. And this is beautiful Concord in a beautiful fall setting, with the trees changing, the maples and all the other lovely trees, as we come rolling through the town center here. And we're going to go straight on through and right out the other side. These buildings in particular have always struck me as a perfect sort of stage set as we go past them. And then we see the Colonial Inn right in front of us. And then we're going to go up this way. And we're going to drive up this way to the Old North Bridge, which is where the American Revolution, by many definitions, started. We're going to park in here and walk down to the bridge. Absolutely gorgeous. So this is it. The British came this way. The Americans were in that field across the bridge, and they fought over the bridge. That's where the battle was. Here are the grave of British soldiers. They came 3,000 miles and died to keep the past upon its throne. Unheard beyond the ocean tide, their English mother made her moan. April 19th, 1775. And we're going to go across the bridge. Across the bridge. So we're crossing over this river right now. By the rude bridge that arched the flood, their flag to April's breeze unfurled. Here once the embattled farmer stood and fired the shot heard round the world. So now we're approaching the Charles River, and we're going to go to stop number 3. Now obviously in Boston and the Boston area, Cambridge, Boston, and surrounding, there's a huge amount of historical markers, many of which are related to this historical period in time. We're going to look at just one. There are the Harvard Fields, Soldiers Field Road, and the Harvard football stadium in there, and all that kind of good stuff. And let's see what's in here. Let's see if we can see if there's any parking to be had in here. Seems to be something. We're going to take it. We're down here by the Charles River. I'm currently in Boston, and we're about to go over the river. Alright, so we are going over the Charles William Eliot and Charles Eliot Bridge. Here is the mighty Charles. We are now going to go and find our historical marker, which is down here. Just up here, if I remember correctly. What's this? This marker here says Sir Richard's Landing. Here at this Sir Richard's Landing, here at the river's edge, the settlers of Watertown, led by Sir Richard Saltonstall, landed July 30th, 1630. Here, Reverend George Phillips' protest in 1632 against taxation without representation struck the first note of civil liberty heard in this wilderness. All of the territory from Spark Street to Mount Auburn Bridge, originally a part of Watertown, was awarded to Cambridge in 1751. All right, we're back in the car. Today, it's a brand new day. As you can maybe tell by looking out the window, it's also much better weather. And we are heading off. We are heading off to our fourth site, our fourth bridge and our fourth location in honor of Ulysses and the four rivers they cross in Book 6 of Hades when they are heading off to Paddy Dignam's funeral. So this time we're heading much more local to East Cambridge, where we're going to cross one more river and over one bridge, and that's the Miller's River, and the bridge we're going to cross over is the walking bridge. And I have the dog in the car because we've made the whole trip with my dog Wendy, and then we're going to go see one site that bridge connects us to. It's amazing to see how much change is happening in this part of the city and how much construction is going on. It is stunning to see this. Amazingly enough, we found parking. And we are now down in East Cambridge. And we're going to go find our river and find our bridge. Off we go. And we're going to go look for our final river, which is going to be the Miller's River. It's not this river we're looking at right now, which is the Charles, because we've already crossed the Charles. We're going to go look at another smaller river that's up in that direction. In fact, you can see a bicyclist going over a little footbridge. And right in there is a river called the Miller's River, which has been covered over for the better part of 100+ years now. But we're down at part of the busiest part of the Charles, with the Science Museum in the background, and the Zakin Bridge right here. So here we are going up over the footbridge that is going over the Miller's River, and I have to confess I don't remember exactly where the river comes in here, but somewhere around all these train tracks. And somewhere in here is the Miller's River. Zakin Bridge above our heads. There's the Miller's River. That's the Miller's River. That's the Millers River in there. As you can see, covered over by roadway, by concrete, and everything you can imagine. But that river used to run into, certainly into Kendall Square. We're talking 100 and some odd years ago. Still does, actually. But it is covered over by all kinds of construction and has been for the longest time. And it's fascinating, and it subject to all the things that rivers are subject to, flooding and everything else, and certainly pollution. That is a full river. We're going to go check that out a little bit for you. But here we are by the banks of the mighty Millers River. Quite a river it is. Quite a river it is. So we're at the Boston Navy Yard, Charlestown Navy Yard, and we're looking for a certain plaque here. Let's see if we can find it. I think it's right here. So we're at the Boston Naval Shipyard, and in the building right behind me, right about that corner there of that building, is where the British landed in 1775 at the start of the Battle of Bunker Hill, where they left their stations in Boston and came across the river to try to get rid of the Americans who were up on Bunker Hill, which is right off to my left over here. That marks our fourth river and our fourth example of British oppression, if you will, in the New World, in the colonies, on North American continent. And that concludes my report for the second assignment for the class on Ulysses. Battle of Bunker Hill, 17 June 1775. This tablet marks the point where the British reinforcements landed.